kept his eyes on the Lord. A few times he got off and felt, they went down, and God said, what are you doing here? And he had to get back on course. But doesn't that happen in life? I'm so grateful that he's a redemptive God and he's merciful. And when you read David, don't you listen, you guys? Do you read David? When you listen to him, you want to be like David. You say, Jack, he committed adultery and he killed the woman's husband, and I get that. But he also cut off a giant's head. And he was an amazing man of God. Isn't he a picture of a life that is redeemed? David wasn't perfect. He says, I was conceived in iniquity. But David also said, one thing have I desired in my life, and that I will live after. That's my pursuit. And that is this, that I might live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. I don't know about you, but man, that's what I want.
By the way, I would like to add, you're speaking about David and the immense sins that he committed, not only adultery, but arranging for Bathsheba's husband Uriah to be killed in war. And yet he is the great leader, the greatest leader in the Old Testament, outside of Moses. And that is the reason that I believe religious people have far more wisdom than secular people as a rule. There are always exceptions. There are religious fools, and there are some secular wise people. But as a rule, and it came to fore with Donald Trump, religious people were not preoccupied. Religious people who ironically are very strict on sexual sin were not preoccupied with Donald Trump's sexual sins. Secular people were. We asked what God asked. Are you going to be a great leader? Not, are you a sinner?
God in the Bible talks about Nebuchadnezzar and says he's my servant. Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon. You look at Donald Trump, come on, at the start. Look, his tweets back then, he doesn't tweet like he used to. A lot of people miss that, but his hair, look, forget all that stuff. But did you know this? I'm going to tell you something you guys don't know. And the reason why you don't know is because it hasn't been said. You might appreciate this. Trump gets elected. He's in the cabinet. And a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, is inside that room. Donald Trump goes through the business of the day, and he says, is that it? Anything else? No, sir. No, Mr. President, that's it. And he goes, well, there's one more thing. We have failed to bring up the issue of relocating the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Listen. Around the room. Sir, the only guy that said you should do it was Ben Carson. Listen. Sad to say, I'm a son of a Marine Corps family. It's pretty sad, though, that the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they were in the room, and the Marine General said, Mr. President, with all due respect, I do not have enough Marines on the planet to prevent World War III from happening. Should you do that? President Trump said, I didn't ask you if we were going to do it. No, this is true. Yeah, I'm giving it straight to you. President Trump said, I'm telling you we're going to do it because, number one, watch this. This is Donald Trump. Number one, I campaigned on it. Number two, the capital of Israel is Jerusalem, and everybody knows it. And he said, since June of something, under Bill Clinton, it became a law. Did you know that? It was a law that the president was supposed to relocate, and Clinton punted on it, and so did every president, including our dear Listen. Trump said, bottom line, we're going to do it because it's the right thing to do. And this is fun. He said, we are the United States. Don't tell me we do not own land in Israel. I want to see it. We're not leaving this meeting till I see the land we own in Israel. Guess what happened? They waited. Some guys come in with blueprints and all kinds of stuff. They unveil it, put it on the table. I'm getting this from firsthand experience. They laid it out on the table. Trump said, what is that huge piece of land? That's David Friedman's, where the ambassador lives. He goes, that's too big. Have you been there? Have you been to the embassy? Yep. Listen. So he said, I want the embassy there. And they said, sir, it's going to take $100 million, and it's going to probably take about 3 to 4 years. Trump said, May 14th is Israel's birthday. You have $100,000 to change out the carpets, paint the walls, get Friedman out, and he can sleep somewhere else. This is the embassy. That's what happened.
Dennis, did you know that story?
Do I know that story?
Yeah, did you know that story?
Well, not that specifically, but I knew how much opposition there was. My wife and I were invited to dinner with then Vice President Pence and his wife and his daughter. It was just us, another couple, and Eric Metaxas, who many of you know.